Pour yourself a drink. It's time for Pints with Bridger.
Martin, welcome to Pints with Bridger.
Thank you very much.
For those out there that don't know who you are, who is Martin?
Well, who am I? I'm a father of three and a husband to one, and I run a lawn care business called LawnsOne. That's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Oh. And what's the story behind LawnsOne? How did you get started?
Well, I actually trained as a landscaper, and I had a company called LandscapeOne, and that was we had that in the late 1990s, and then we were doing quite a lot of high value, low volume work in South London, and I just wanted to try and find a business that I could shore myself up against, I guess, if you like. And LawnsOne was born when we saw what a lawn care company did, and that was high volume, low value. So marrying the two together, I was kind of like edging. What's the way of putting it? Just hedging my bets. Yeah.
What made you want to go into business?
Well, that's something I'd always wanted to do. I remember as a kid, like, you'll laugh, but we had a big tree in our back garden when I was growing up as a kid, and I imagined, in my wisdom, starting a shop in this tree, and people were going to come around to our back garden and buy things from this shop. So I think it's always been in me. And then as I got older, I realised that I was probably never going to be a great employee. So the only option really was to have my own business.
And I think that you basically described an entrepreneur right there. We don't make great employees because we're always thinking and wanting to do something else for ourselves. Yeah. What was it when you were setting up the business, that key point that made you think, this is actually going to be successful, I can do this full time?
Well, I guess the landscape business had been reasonably successful. The lawn care was relatively a young business. We started in 2004. And I guess, you know, we had our trials and tribulations, and if I'm brutally honest, the landscape business went by the wayside around 2008 with the recession, and my then partner took that on as the landscape business, and I took the lawn care business on, and we maintained a kind of level of revenue for a number of years until COVID, and then we kind of rocketed up. So. When did I know it was going to be a success? I don't even think I ever thought like that. I think it was just, that's what I did. That's what I did. So yeah. I was always going to be a success.
Yeah. And as you've been built, obviously you built a business, you've got the one that you're currently running. What do you think's been harder, building the business or keeping the one you currently got going?
Well, that's a good question. I think they're both equally difficult, but for different reasons. But I think I would say it's probably easier now because I know that it's a process. I know that the challenges you face in any business are just there to test you. You will come through. There's no doubt about it. It's more about how you do it. And I think that for me makes it slightly easier. Yeah, I understand the process. I know it's gonna be tricky. You know, nothing's gonna break me though. I'll get up every time you put me down. I'll get up.
So on my first episode, I had a chap called Tibbs on, and we were talking about young people and T levels and getting young entrepreneurs into business. What are some of the things that you think have been the challenges for you that, you know, a young person that wants to come into business doesn't actually see and should know, and the advice that you could give to a young person?
It's harder than you think. I think is a key piece of advice, but don't give up. I think that's where a lot of the issues with resilience come in these days, and there are some youngsters that are maybe not so resilient, but that's because they haven't faced those challenges yet and haven't worked out that they can overcome them. Because that's all resilience is understanding that, you know, if there's a problem, you can overcome it. It's like a confidence. So I think definitely don't be put off. Go, aim high, go for your dreams, dream big, and then apply yourself. And if you really want to do it, you will make it happen.
And you say that about resilience. Was there ever a time where you thought, you know what, I could pack this in. I've had enough now.
Oh, plenty. Daily, weekly, hourly. Yeah, like I say, it is tough, but the rewards are great. So, I think they balance each other out.
Yeah. And what sort of life lessons have you got from being in business? What's that taught you for your own personal journey?
People are the most important things. I think you can be swallowed up, and I think I was. I want to make money. I want to have nice things. I want to create great stuff. And I think actually, when it comes to it, your relationships with people are fantastic. And I follow Jimmy Carr on a lot of social stuff, and he's a really deep thinker and a smart guy, as well as his sort of comedy side of things. And there's a really nice quote, and I hope I'm not misquoting him, but it's something along the lines of it's not the journey, it's not the destination, it's not even the journey, it's who you become on the journey. And I think that's so true, because it sounds a bit corny, but it's you have to change, you have to evolve, you have to get better, you have to meet challenges, and I think that is a really good quote that sums that up.
You said that about relationships, and obviously it being a strain, the way that you were going. Were there any relationships that you had that were affected because of trying to set up a business and running it?
I think the real main strains on relationship is, obviously I work with my wife. She's my sort of partner in the business. And people often ask us how we manage to work together, because we live together. We've got an office in the garden. It's how does that pan out? And I think we've just managed it over the years. We know there's a kind of a dividing line between home and work, but also my eldest son is in the business, and my youngest sort of dips in and out and helps us out. The relationship with my eldest son has sometimes been strained, but that's running a family business. It's because on one side that relationship's been strained, but on the other side I can see that the people and the experiences that we've exposed him to have definitely made him grow as a person. He's got a really open mindset. He won't back down from any challenge, and that's really rewarding. So you take the rough with the smooth.
Yeah. And running a family business, having the kids involved, how has being a dad sort of shaped your way of life and the way that you've been thinking?
I guess early on in my business career, I probably spent a bit too much time thinking, talking, doing business, and perhaps wasn't there as much as I could have been for the kids and for my wife. I mean, my wife often jokes that my youngest son, who was born on Easter Sunday, I had the bank holiday Monday off and I was back to work on the Tuesday. So, but that was, for me, that was a needs must. I had to sort of provide for my family, and that's what I needed to do. So that was kind of in my head, really. Now I have a very different relationship with the kids, and I hope it's one where they not look up to me, but respect the kind of hard work that both Heather and I have put into the business. And I hope they see, that the rewards have come because of that.
Now, I was doing a lot of research into you, and I found that you've done a number of fundraising challenges in the past. A fundraising walk a couple of times for the Pilgrim's Hospice.
Yes,
and I think a cycle as well. What first drew you to supporting the Pilgrim's Hospice?
I think it was actually driven probably by Heather, I think. I mean, I'm a cyclist. I like road cycling, and I know that there's a Pilgrim's Hospice cycle challenge that I've done once, I think. And I think, it being a local charity and the immense work they do, I think it was Heather, I think, that got us into that in the first place, because she's very community and charity oriented as well. And I think she got us into the walks and got them set up. So I can't claim that one myself.
And you said there about cycling. I saw that you did Land's End to John O'Groats.
I did.
980 miles in 9 days.
Yes. I haven't done it again.
Will you want to do it again after that?
Do you know, there were people that had done it sort of 3 and 4 times.
Oh wow!
They're not bright.
When you was doing the challenge, was there any point along the journey where you thought, "What the hell have I signed up for?"
Probably more so beforehand in the training. I think once you start it, you're kind of committed, and it was if I'm honest, it was a tough challenge. But that's what I set out to test myself.
Yeah.
As well as obviously raise money for charity. But I think I wanted, at that point in my life, I wanted to test my mettle, and that's why I kind of did it, I think.
What was going through your head, whilst you're cycling hour after hour? Was it just keep going, or was it something else?
It was a lot of it, just keep going. I carry a little bit of weight on myself, and so like cycling isn't the easiest. I'm no racing snake, but I think that's what it was. It was like, again, it wasn't going to beat me, so I was going to do it. Whatever had to be done, I was going to do it. And I think a lot of the time my head was down, sort of on the road and just turning the wheels. In hindsight, you look back and I think like there were moments with beautiful views, and we went through some astounding countryside, and it was like absolutely beautiful. And I sometimes wish I took that in a little bit more. But that's the story of my life. I'm always looking ahead. I'm like, I'm never really taking the moment in.
We spoke at the beginning of the podcast about mental resilience. What did that challenge teach you about mental resilience?
I've got mental resilience, but I haven't got physical resilience. My body was done for at the end of it. It was, sore in particular places.
Yeah, I've been there. I did a half marathon at the beginning of the year.
Right.
I won't be doing one this year.
Yeah.
Couldn't walk for like a week.
But you're glad you did it, right?
I did, yeah. And this is the thing. I wanted to prove to everyone that I could do it, because everyone was, especially down the pub and all that, a lot of people going, yeah, we'll get the body bag ready for you at the end of the finish line.
Yeah.
There's no way you're going to make it. And I came back and went, well, there's the medal. Told you I would. Oh, right, yes, it took me just over 4 hours. But you did. But I did it.
Yeah. I think that when we were doing the ride, they were talking about it's type 2 fun. So it's the type of fun that you look back on and think, yeah, that was really great. But at the time, it's not something you're particularly enjoying.
Yeah. Now you raised over, I think, £4,000 for Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital whilst you were doing it.
Yeah.
Did that success make the suffering worth it?
I think it's to be honest, it's probably one of the only things that kept me going. It's like that's the great thing about these kind of tests, is that because you're not doing it for yourself, you think about the others. You think about others. You put your life in perspective. You think about others that are worse off than yourself, and you're grateful for what you've got. And I think when you've got that mindset, there's nothing you can't do. Yeah.
So, I was doing a little bit more research into you.
Oh dear.
Obviously, football, I think, is one of your biggest
the Mighty
hobbies.
Palace.
Yeah. Yes. How does being a Crystal Palace supporter, how's that?
Give me resilience.
Yeah. Well, yeah. How's that sort of influenced you and your life, really?
My dad took me to Palace when I was a young lad. He's a Millwall supporter, but he had mates that could get tickets at Palace in the late 70s. And I loved Vince Hilaire and Jim Cannon from those days. I loved football. I loved the kits. And then when I became a sort of young man, I guess, probably from 19 to about 22, 23, I had a friend who was a season ticket holder there. We used to go to a lot of the away games together. And it was just a shared experience, being in a crowd of people that are all there for the same reason and all passionate about their team. there's just nothing quite like that feeling. And then I started my own business, and everything went by the wayside. So almost my personal life stopped. Family life and business was all I ever did. And I'm now at the stage of my life where I'm able to do the things that I really enjoy. And so I've had a season ticket at Palace for a couple of years now, and I'm able to take my boys and my daughter who likes it as well, and share it with friends and my wife who likes to come up. And I think it's just a really good way of relaxing. And there was some TV celebrity who said Turfmoor, a Burnley supporter. Was it Burnley supporter? Turfmoor, and said that's his happy place. And I can really relate to it, because it's, you don't think about anything for an hour and a half except for your team.
What's more stressful, sporting Palace or cycling 980 miles?
I take watching Palace any day of the week. And they've had reasonable success recently, so can't grumble.
Who's your sort of Palace hero?
My Palace hero. Well, that's a tough one actually, because Glasner, their manager for the last 3 years, up until around Christmas time this year, would have definitely been my hero, because I look at and read and research quite a lot about leaders, and I'm always fascinated about how they interact with people and get the best out of people. Like I mentioned earlier, people are just, nothing's worth it, and you can't do anything without them. So, and he seems to be a really good manager. I think he just loves people, and he's been able to turn a kind of above average team into something quite special in the last couple of years. I feel he let himself down slightly in his kind of his outbursts to the media. But then he said that he was being true to himself, and actually come full circle, he's fulfilling his contract, and the Eagles are still in with a shot of getting a European Cup this week. So I'd probably say him, which is a strange choice, because it's not a player which you would normally expect, but that's kind of my angle. I'd look at those. If you're talking about an actual player on the pitch, I mean, Elise, I think, is from the recent times. He's an incredible player, and he's definitely going to be a Ballon d'Or winner. I can see it coming.
Yeah. And if they do win, where's that going to rank in your life achievements?
Do you know what? I take things. I don't take it too seriously, right? You win and you lose, and it will be great for the history books. It will be great for Crystal Palace. It will be great for pushing the club on a little bit more. If we don't get it, it's not the end of the world. We'll still be playing football, and we'll still be enjoying it. So I kind of take a different attitude on that one.
And you mentioned about taking your kids along to the football. Do they ever get involved in any of your fundraising activities at all, or do they just think you're completely mad?
No, they have. They definitely think I'm mad, but they have. Yeah, they have. I think they're especially James, who works in the business. He's already done some half marathons for charity, which has been really nice to watch. And I think all our kids are pretty. I hope to think they're pretty charitable and think and look to help others, as the way that Heather and I have all our lives. So,
and what matters to you now than what it did 20 years ago?
Relationships, people. They're precious, I think, and relationships, networking, people. Everything I'm about to say is a cliche, but it's a cliche because it's true, and it's without relationships and people and those you love, your family, it'd be a pretty dull place. You might have a Lamborghini, but what's the point in a Lamborghini if you can't share it with them?
Yeah. So, you've got a podcast yourself.
I have.
I did have a watch the other day.
Yeah, it's not a great watch. It's a better listen than it is a watch.
Just two ordinary blokes, I believe.
Yeah, two ordinary blokes. Our journey to 1 million. Yeah.
What made you want to set up that podcast?
I don't think it was ever a burning desire, but a friend of mine in the industry runs a lawn care company in Nottingham, John, and we went out for lunch with our other halves, and we were, as we inevitably do, talking shop, and I said, oh, we should start a podcast, and we had lots of jokes and laughs about it, and John's not a great one for being in the public eye, but he was sort of no, that's not going to happen. And then about 6 weeks later, he said, I've been thinking about this podcast. I would do it. And then we got together. We started the thing is, John and I speak most weeks, usually just on the phone, and we talk about the highs and lows of business. Sometimes he's having a particular problem at work, and he'll give me a call, and we'll just talk through it and just, these are your options, what you're going to do. And sometimes it's the other way around. And we've got a good relationship like that. So we kind of bounce off each other and try and lift each other when we're having sort of tougher times. And really the idea behind the podcast is to continue those chats. It's our journey. It's what we're doing, what we're trying to achieve. And why not record it? And if it's of interest to people and helps others, then great. It's not quite as big as your podcast, I don't think.
Well, no, they're growing. But maybe, hopefully, people go from this podcast over to yours.
Watch it.
Yeah, please.
No, don't watch it. Listen to it. It's a really terrible watch.
I'll put a link in the description anyway for people to go over and watch it. So, hopefully they will.
Thank you.
What's, the journey of setting up that podcast and obviously running it, what you learned from that?
I'm not very good at it. It's time consuming, and we try and do one take, which we treat it as our phone call, and the thing I've learned about it at the moment, we're just getting episodes up, so they're very raw. The marketing of it is very raw. But we're maintaining a listenership, so we've had some really, really lovely feedback from people, which is, people don't have to do that. If they think it's not great, they'll just not say anything. But people have said it's great, so we really appreciate that. But time consuming, raw, rough, and quite tricky to kind of like. Because it's week in, week out. You have to think holidays and maintaining that regularity, because people like that, don't they? Especially if they go back to listen to sort of like previous episodes and stuff. So there's a commitment to it. Definitely. That's what I've learned. What have you learned?
It is tough. I think it's because I do all the setting up, obviously the filming. I'm constantly having to jump from just now talking to you to jump in behind the camera to make sure it's still filming, and then the editing part. So I'm doing the whole journey.
The editing part. We were talking earlier, and you said it could be days in terms of editing, and we just don't do that. So I'm quite fortunate in that, but I do feel your pain, because I've done filming and stuff in the past, and it's
not easy.
It's a long and arduous task.
And you've got not only the challenges of getting everything ready, you've got the challenges of people as well. That from venue space that you're hiring to the guests as well, making sure that they're happy for what you're putting out, and it's good. There's a lot of challenges. But if someone wants to go and watch your podcast, where can they find it?
On all the usual sort of channels. We've got Spotify is the most popular, but I think we're also on Amazon and YouTube. YouTube's not great because you've got to watch it, and it's just two blokes with headphones on, rabbiting on. So it's far better to have your earphones in and be driving or pushing a mower or whatever you're doing. But yeah.
And what's your future ambitions? Entrepreneur, podcaster now. Where do you see yourself going in the next 5 years?
So I give all the secrets away. I'd like to have I've talked on the podcast about this journey to 1 million. Whether we get to that this year or not remains to be seen. We're kind of on target at the moment, but my mind is already beyond that. And I suppose it's a bit lazy in a way to put a revenue marker on where you want to be, but it is something that everyone kind of understands. So,
and I think that's the thing. You've got to have a goal as well. If you haven't got a goal, then you haven't got anything that's going to drive you towards something.
Yeah. I mean, I can see LawnsOne as a £10 million business, and I don't think that's wholly unachievable. Might take 100 years, but you never know.
And there's a number of young people out there, the moment you say, I want to be a millionaire, that's what they say. They say, I'm going to be the next YouTube star, TikTok star, and I'm going to make millions tomorrow. What advice would you give to young people that are either coming out of college or in secondary school and don't know where they want to go yet?
If that's the way you want to do, great, go and do it. See how it pans out. No, that's a bit patronising. I think no. If you've got a dream, don't let anyone tell you can't do it. Go and do it. But be prepared that for the journey to be. It's not going to be a straight line of success. There are going to be ups and downs. And as long as you're prepared to work to get over those, then great, go for it.
And do you have, obviously you said about your children, do you have any other young people working in your business at all?
We do. We've started off with quite a lot of young guys that have been in our business actually, and they've grown with us. And that's another hugely rewarding part of the business, to see them grow. Because I always think about it that and I'm kind of always saying to the team is that if they leave our employ better people than they came to us, then we've done our job. So, we've given them some training, we've given them some education, they're more confident, they're, better. Running a family business is a bit of an extension. It's like you do feel a bit like family. It's like you're bringing your kids up. Yeah. So, that's important as well.
Do you do any sort of apprenticeships or sort of the T-level schemes at all within your business?
We don't, and there is there's a reason for that. In that, well, there's a couple of reasons. One is that the insurance on the vehicles to have young people, because a lot of our guys go out on their own in vehicles, so the insurance, if you can get the insurance at all, is astronomical, and also you're we would be putting those people in front of quite senior business people, and asking them to kind of hold their own. And from experience, that's not always good for either party.
Yeah. And what legacy would you want to leave to your children?
Wow. Well, they have this thing called the lecture pillow. So when I go into lecture mode, they get the pillow out and start snoring. I'm not big on legacy. When I'm gone, I'm gone. I want to make sure that obviously my wife is looked after if I go before her. But as far as the kids are concerned, it's going to be in their heads. They know. I hope they know who I am. And I hope that they've got the skills to be able to provide for themselves and others in their life, which is ultimately what we have to do. And if they can do that and they're happy, I'm all good.
And when you're not in the room, what do you think people say about you?
Oh, God.
what's one thing that you think that's what's
broadcastable? I honestly don't know. I think they probably say he can't make his mind up. He's always changed his mind. He's changing direction. He's like a whirlwind. We can't keep up with him. He's got too many ideas. Never finishes anything. He's got a nasty tone of voice sometimes. On the plus side, I think I'm pretty positive. I like to take people with me wherever I'm going. More negatives than positives. But
what's one thing you still want to achieve?
I don't think I've yet created the perfect team within my organisation. And I think when I get everything running on all cylinders, I think that I want to feel that feeling of everything being just so.
Now, you've raised money. You've built a business, you've launched a podcast, you've done numerous charitable fundraising campaigns, built a family and challenged yourself physically and mentally. When you look back on that journey, what is the thing that you're most proud of?
My family, I think. Yeah, just that's the thing that gives me the greatest joy.
Martin, thank you very much for coming on Pints with Bridger.
Thank you very much for having me, Matthew.